Hi, Brian from Sipkens Nurseries here, and today we had another morning frost in late May. And I just wanted to share a couple of frost prevention and protection tips for you home gardeners. And this year we had a very dramatic frost about a week ago, and it did substantial damage to certain plants, but plants in other areas were unaffected. And why is that? Oftentimes the frost will land in low areas, so sometimes areas closer to the lake or close in town or underneath trees won't see any frost, or close to buildings, whereas areas that are wide open, such as in a lawn area or a garden, you will see more frost damage. And that just is when the morning weather cycle dramatically changes a few degrees and you see the white stuff hit the grass. Now, for frost prevention, usually the biggest things is planting things on time. Out of shrubs, trees, and perennials, it's actually rare to have damage on plants that are established in the garden. Whereas sometimes newer plants that come from a garden center might be a little bit further advanced in growth. And those plants you might consider giving a little protection if you planted them before the frost-free date. Most perennial plants like daylilies or grasses or coral bells, plants like that, rarely would they ever see frost damage. But some things like the tall ornamental grasses or hostas, sometimes roses or Japanese maples, those are plants that can see frost damage if they're planted early. Now, annual plants such as petunias or geraniums, they can handle a light frost without damage. But if it gets -2 or -3, oftentimes you will see that burning. So making sure that your plants that are in containers are shuffled into the garage for a cold night or covered with bed sheets. That's one way to protect and still have your plants early. Other plants that you may have put in the ground already are going to be a lot more sensitive, and you'll have to do something to cover them and protect them from frost by trapping the heat of the ground in and around the plant. Yeah, so frost protection in the garden, we'll use fabric usually, burlap, old bed sheets, outdoor blankets. Those are items that you can use to trap earth heat in and around your plants. But even such, if you have a hard frost, tender plants such as basil or peppers that maybe you jump the gun and put them in the garden, those are plants that can still see damage. So we've tried a lot of different methods over the year, but sometimes you just straight up forget. And so in the morning, you wake up, you're drinking your morning coffee, and you see the white stuff on the ground, and you ask yourself, hey, what do I do? Well, in the nursery here, we'll oftentimes run irrigation to wash the frost off the plants, and the water seems to be a protection mechanism and preventing that cold temperature injury. But still, damage does occur. And I've got a few examples later in this video that will show some things that were burnt about a week ago, but we'll also see that they are beginning to regrow past that. So that even if you get damage on some of your landscape plants and even some trees, most of the time they will pick up where they left off, and it'll take a couple weeks, but then they'll grow out of it. Other plants such as basil or peppers or some tender begonias, if they turn black, you know that they're done and it's time to start over. Now, not only is frost the damaging factor in the spring, sometimes really cold winds can do the same type of damage. And we had a good, really strong north wind the other day, and some plants like potato vine or cucumbers, those are plants that would be damaged simply by the cold wind and not only frost. If they look like they're starting to regrow, fine, carry on. If they look like they really got beat up, it's often a good idea to just start with a few new ones. And so that is a few tips for frost protection and frost prevention for your plants in your gardens and containers.